I'm going to tell you a story about how a woman found out she was pre-diabetic and how it completely changed her life. I've changed the names, but this is a true story. Sarah sat in her car outside the doctor's office for 10 minutes, just staring at the piece of paper in her hands. The words pre-diabetic seemed to blur and sharpen, as if her eyes couldn't quite accept what they were seeing. At 54, she thought she was doing everything right. Sure, she'd gained some weight over the years. Who hadn't? And yes, she was tired more often than she used to be. But pre-diabetic, that was something that happened to other people. Not to her. But this little piece of paper was about to change everything about how Sarah lived her life. And what happened next? Well, it might just save yours too. Sarah was a real estate agent in Phoenix. She'd been married to Tom for 28 years, had 2 grown kids, and was looking forward to becoming a grandmother. She ate what she thought was a reasonable diet. Not perfect, but not terrible either. She'd grab a muffin and coffee for breakfast, have a salad for lunch most days, and cook dinner at home. She wasn't a couch potato, but she wasn't exactly hitting the gym either. The appointment that changed everything was supposed to be routine, just her annual physical. She'd been putting it off for 2 years. You know how it is, life gets busy. But Tom finally nagged her enough that she made the appointment. Dr. Patricia Chen had been Sarah's doctor for 8 years. She was thorough, kind, and had this way of explaining things that didn't make you feel stupid. But when she sat down with Sarah's test results, her usual warm smile was replaced by something more serious. "Sarah," Dr. Chen said, "we need to talk about your blood sugar numbers." The magic number was 5.9, Sarah's HbA1c. That's a test that shows your average blood sugar over the past 3 months was 5.9%. To put that in perspective, normal is below 5.7%. Diabetes starts at 6.5%. Sarah was sitting right in that grey zone they call pre-diabetes, between 5.7% and 6.4%. "What does that mean?" Sarah asked, though part of her already knew she didn't want to hear the answer. Dr. Chen explained the numbers with the gentle directness that made her such a good doctor. "Sarah, you're pre-diabetic. That means your body isn't processing sugar the way it should. The good news is we caught it early. The challenging news is that without changes, there's a 70% chance you'll develop type 2 diabetes within 10 years. 70%. Sarah later said that number hit her like a physical blow. You see, Sarah's father had died from complications of diabetes when she was 32. She watched him go through years of insulin shots, dietary restrictions, and eventually, the amputations and kidney problems that diabetes can bring when it's not well controlled. She'd promised herself she'd never let that happen to her. But here's what Sarah didn't know then, and what millions of Americans don't know. Pre-diabetes isn't a death sentence. It's actually a gift. It's your body's early warning system, like a smoke detector going off before you see flames. According to the Centers for Disease Control, 96 million American adults have pre-diabetes. That's more than 1 in 3 adults. But here's the truly shocking part. 80% of them don't know they have it. Sarah was lucky. She found out. Dr. Chen handed Sarah a pamphlet about lifestyle changes and mentioned something about a diabetes prevention program. But honestly, Sarah barely heard her. Her mind was spinning with images of her father, of insulin injections, of a future she desperately didn't want. She walked out of that office feeling like she'd been handed a ticking time bomb. That night, Sarah did what most of us do when we get scary medical news. She went down an internet rabbit hole. She started searching pre-diabetes and how to reverse pre-diabetes and pre-diabetes diet. What she found was overwhelming. Some websites said to cut out all carbs. Others said to go vegan. One claimed that cinnamon supplements would cure everything. Another insisted that only medication could help. She felt more confused and scared than when she'd left the doctor's office. But then she found something different. It was a study from the National Institutes of Health about something called the Diabetes Prevention Program. This wasn't some internet guru or supplement company. This was real science, and the results were stunning. The study followed over 3,000 people with pre-diabetes for 3 years. They divided them into 3 groups. One group took a medication called metformin, one group made lifestyle changes, and one group got a placebo. The lifestyle change group reduced their risk of developing diabetes by 58%. Even more impressive, for people over 60, the reduction was 71%. The lifestyle changes beat the medication. Sarah printed out that study and read it 3 times. For the first time since leaving Dr. Chen's office, she felt something besides fear. She felt hope. The lifestyle changes weren't extreme. The participants aimed to lose 7% of their body weight. For Sarah, that was about 12 pounds. They exercised for 150 minutes a week. That's just 30 minutes, 5 days a week. And they worked with a lifestyle coach to make gradual, sustainable changes. Sarah called Dr. Chen's office the next morning and asked about the diabetes prevention program. Dr. Chen enrolled Sarah in a CDC-recognized diabetes prevention program at the local YMCA. The program met once a week for 16 weeks, then monthly for the rest of the year. Sarah was skeptical. She'd tried diets before and they never stuck. But this wasn't a diet, it was something completely different. Her lifestyle coach, Maria, was a registered dietitian who'd been running these groups for 5 years. In the first session, Maria said something that changed Sarah's entire perspective. "We're not here to restrict your life, we're here to expand it." Instead of a list of forbidden foods, Sarah got a fat and calorie budget. She could eat anything she wanted as long as she stayed within her daily targets. Instead of dramatic exercise routines, she got a step counter and aimed for 150 minutes of moderate activity each week. The magic, Sarah discovered, was in the tracking. She'd never realized how much mindless eating she was doing until she had to write it down. The handful of nuts while cooking dinner. The second glass of wine with friends. The just a bite of Tom's dessert that was actually 3 bites. But tracking wasn't about shame. It was about awareness. Maria taught the group something called the plate method. Half of every meal should be non-starchy vegetables. 1/4 should be lean protein. 1/4 should be healthy carbs. It was simple enough to remember, flexible enough to work with any cuisine. Sarah's first goal was to lose 1 to 2 pounds per week. Nothing dramatic. For exercise, she started with walking, just 10 minutes after dinner, around the neighborhood. Tom joined her, and those walks became the best part of their day. They talked more in those 10 minutes than they had in months. Don't misunderstand me. This wasn't easy. There were setbacks, frustrations, and moments when Sarah wanted to quit. Week 4 was brutal. Sarah had lost 3 pounds in the first 3 weeks, then gained 2 back. She felt like a failure. At the group meeting, she almost didn't share her weight, but Maria had created such a supportive environment that Sarah found herself being honest. "I feel like I'm not doing this right," Sarah said, fighting back tears. Maria's response was perfect. "You're doing this exactly right. Weight loss isn't linear. Your body is adjusting to new habits. The fact that you're here, that you tracked your food even during a challenging week, that you kept walking, that's success." The group rallied around Sarah. Jennifer, a 58-year-old teacher, shared that she'd had 3 gain weeks, but had still lost 15 pounds overall. Marcus, a 62-year-old mechanic, talked about how his energy levels had improved even when the scale wasn't moving. Sarah learned something crucial that week. This wasn't just about the number on the scale. Her body was changing in ways that weight couldn't measure. Her afternoon energy crashes were gone. She was sleeping better. Her mood was more stable, and her 10-minute walks had naturally expanded to 20 minutes, then 30. She and Tom had started exploring different neighborhoods, turning their walks into mini adventures. The real breakthrough came in week 12. Sarah stepped on the scale and saw a number she hadn't seen in 5 years. She'd lost 14 pounds, more than her 7% goal. But that wasn't even the best part. The best part was how she felt. Sarah had energy she hadn't experienced in years. She was walking 45 minutes most days and had added 2 strength training sessions per week. She was cooking more, experimenting with new recipes that satisfied her taste buds while nourishing her body. Her relationship with food had completely transformed. She no longer thought of foods as good or bad. Instead, she made conscious choices. She still enjoyed wine with friends and dessert on special occasions, but they were deliberate decisions, not mindless habits. Tom had joined her on this journey without any pressure. He'd lost 18 pounds just by eating the same meals and taking those evening walks. Their friends started commenting on how vibrant they both looked, but the real validation came at her 3-month follow-up appointment with Dr. Chen. Sarah's HbA1c had dropped from 5.9% to 5.4%, solidly in the normal range. Her blood pressure, which had been creeping up, was now perfect. Her cholesterol levels had improved dramatically. Dr. Chen smiled as she reviewed the results. "Sarah, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. These numbers are remarkable." "Am I still pre-diabetic?" Sarah asked. "Not anymore, doctor," Chen said. "You've reversed it." Now, let me share the science behind Sarah's success, because understanding why these changes work is crucial for making them stick. When you have pre-diabetes, your cells are becoming resistant to insulin. Think of insulin as a key that unlocks your cells so glucose can enter and provide energy. In insulin resistance, it's like the locks on your cells are getting rusty. The key doesn't work as well, so glucose builds up in your bloodstream. The lifestyle changes Sarah made address insulin resistance at its root causes. Weight loss, particularly around the midsection, directly improves insulin sensitivity. Even a 5 to 7% weight loss can reduce diabetes risk by 58%. Sarah lost 8% of her body weight, putting her in an even better position. Regular physical activity acts like WD-40 for those rusty cellular locks. Exercise makes your cells more sensitive to insulin for up to 48 hours after each session. This is why consistency matters more than intensity. Sarah's daily walks were more powerful than occasional intense workouts would have been. Improved nutrition helps stabilize blood sugar levels throughout the day. The plate method Sarah learned isn't just a portion control trick. It's based on solid science about how different nutrients affect blood glucose. The fiber in vegetables slows sugar absorption. Protein helps maintain stable blood sugar levels. Healthy carbs provide sustained energy without dramatic spikes. Better sleep and stress management, which Sarah experienced as side effects of her other changes, also improve insulin sensitivity. Poor sleep and chronic stress trigger hormones that make insulin resistance worse. The beauty of these changes is that they create a positive feedback loop. As Sarah's insulin sensitivity improved, her energy increased, making exercise easier. As she exercised more, her sleep improved, which enhanced her food choices. Each positive change made the next one easier. Sarah's story isn't unique. It's actually becoming more common as people learn about the diabetes prevention program and other evidence-based approaches to reversing prediabetes. A large-scale study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association followed people in diabetes prevention programs for 10 years. The results were extraordinary. Participants maintained their weight loss and continued to have a 34% lower risk of developing diabetes even a decade later. But here's what's really exciting. The benefits went far beyond diabetes prevention. Participants had lower rates of heart disease, stroke, and even some cancers. They reported better quality of life, more energy, and improved mental health. This makes sense when you understand that prediabetes isn't just about blood sugar. It's often part of a cluster of conditions called metabolic syndrome, which includes high blood pressure, elevated cholesterol, and excess abdominal fat. By addressing the root causes through lifestyle changes, you're not just preventing diabetes, you're optimizing your entire metabolic health. Sarah experienced all of these benefits. Her annual physical the following year showed improvements across every health marker. Her doctor actually said she had the blood work of someone 10 years younger. But perhaps most importantly, Sarah had transformed her relationship with her own health. She'd gone from feeling like a victim of her genetics and age to feeling empowered and in control of her future. If you're over 50, Sarah's story should feel both sobering and hopeful. Sobering because pre-diabetes is incredibly common in our age group, affecting 1 in 3 adults over 50. Hopeful because it's also incredibly preventable and reversible. The risk factors for pre-diabetes read like a description of normal aging. Being over 45, carrying extra weight, especially around the midsection. Having a family history of diabetes, being less physically active than you used to be, and having higher than normal blood pressure or cholesterol levels. If any of these sound familiar, the most important thing you can do is get tested. A simple blood test can detect prediabetes years before you develop any symptoms. The HbA1c test Sarah got is the gold standard. It shows your average blood sugar over the past 2 to 3 months. But here's the crucial point. Getting tested is only valuable if you're prepared to act on the results. Sarah's story worked because she was ready to make changes. She found support through the Diabetes Prevention Program, but there are many paths to success. The key elements that made Sarah successful can be adapted to any lifestyle. Gradual, sustainable changes rather than dramatic overhauls. Regular self-monitoring through food tracking and activity goals. Social support, whether through a formal program, family, or friends. Focus on adding healthy habits rather than just restricting unhealthy ones. Consistency over perfection. Progress, not perfection. I want you to imagine yourself 1 year from now. In one scenario, you continue on your current path and your health gradually declines. Maybe you develop diabetes or heart disease, or you simply feel older and more tired than you should. In the other scenario, you take action today. You get tested, you make gradual changes, and a year from now, you feel better than you have in years. You have more energy, better health markers, and confidence in your ability to age well. Sarah chose the second path, and it changed everything. Not just her health, but her entire outlook on life. She went from feeling defeated by aging to feeling excited about the future. The choice is yours, but you have to make it. Pre-diabetes is silent. You won't feel sick until it's too late for easy solutions. But catch it early, like Sarah did, and you have tremendous power to change your trajectory. If you're in the United States, you can find a CDC-recognized diabetes prevention program near you by visiting cdc.gov and searching for Diabetes Prevention Program. Many insurance plans, including Medicare, now cover these programs. But even if you can't access a formal program, you can start today. Take a 10-minute walk after your next meal. Try the plate method for dinner tonight. Make an appointment for a blood test. Small steps like the ones Sarah took can lead to life-changing results. Sarah Martinez is now 57 years old. She's maintained her weight loss for 3 years. Her blood sugar remains in the normal range. She's become a grandmother just like she hoped, and she has the energy to keep up with her grandchildren. Most importantly, she's broken the cycle. The diabetes that claimed her father's life will not claim hers. That piece of paper that once seemed like a death sentence became the beginning of her best years yet. Your story could be next. What will you choose?